This is DX Central Live.
Stand by for a transmission from DX Central. This broadcast is not a test. To confirm reception, please tune your radio to any AM or FM frequency and report your observations during this transmission. Again, this is not a test. Stand by for a transmission from DX Central. This broadcast is not a test. To confirm reception, please tune your radio to any AM or FM frequency and report your observations during this transmission. Again, this is not a test.
DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AMDXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News Member Bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and where to look? Let Teague Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van Horn brings you equipment reviews, an SDR buyer's guide, feature articles, and more. Pick up your copy today. Visit teaguepublishing.com for more information. That's teaguepublishing.com. From the pages of its DX Monitor Member Bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AMDX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AMDXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
the Gulf South
to your corner of the world.
This is DX Central Live.
Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
It's DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana. Good Friday night to you, my friends. And hopefully a great week of DX for you. Been sitting on a couple of frequencies, but that's about to change because we're about to ramp things up. We'll talk about that in a bit, but we are sitting here this week on 3 frequencies, 1460, 1470, and 1480. I'll be honest, I haven't had a whole lot of time to do much of any of that myself. It's been a crazy work week and everything else, so I really haven't had time to do much DX, unfortunately. It happens sometimes, right? But did have a little bit of Tropo hit last night, so we have a little some FM stuff that I need to still look through the auto logs and see what came in. And some other things have happened here. This guy came in. Look at that. This is the DX Central version. So you guys know we have the Shortwave Central version up, and it is running and doing quite well with that elevated CAS antenna at 150 degrees usually. It's also at 330, right? On the other side, but the 150 degrees, man, that's a Latin DX machine. But now we got this one. This is the DX Central Kiwi SDR. So this will be up and running hopefully this weekend. I'm just waiting on some stuff to come in. And so this one, I'm basically going to be rotating my super loops on this one. So predominantly, I think it'll be on the east-west super loop, which is a 15 by 56. So it's not going to be as big as that elevated CAS. So it might not perform quite as well as what we see on that elevated CAS. That thing is just a whole nother ball game. 25 by 72 footer. Woo. But this will give you a chance to see, I think it's 83 on the east side and 263 on the west side. And then we'll also rotate through our other ones, our northwest, southeast 20 footer by 97 footer. That's the 305, 125. That's a pretty good one for Latin America. And then we'll also be putting in the 15 195, the 22 by 72 super loop on there as well. So we'll just be rotating those around. So looking forward to getting this up and running. I'm going to start testing it out this weekend, kind of seeing how it does, and then we'll do a more permanent install when we do the shack remodel after next week's show. So this time next week, I'll be getting ready to take everything out of here and start from scratch. I'm really excited, actually. I got a big pile of stuff in there in the spare bedroom just waiting. Come in here and start doing what I need to do. So we'll be doing some cleaning and things like that. So Jacob says should look into the antenna switch for the Kiwi. That's actually not a bad idea. I do want to keep, I will say this, I do want to keep, because I have my Perseus still, right? With my very nice Lankford-Misek Phaser over here. So 2 of those super loops will always be on the Perseus, and I'll be switching back and forth between those 2. The other one will always be on the Kiwi, right? I have my Air Spy, which I'll have my mini whip on that one. And then, yeah, that's kind of it right there, right? That's the AM side. So I probably would just be rotating these out manually just because I do want to keep 2 on the Perseus at all times. But if I decide to change that up, then and that's mostly for the phasing capabilities that I would have, especially when I have that west antenna in the northwest or the east and the southeast. I think it's, yeah, the west and northwest. So the 305 and the 263, and then the 83 and the 125. That's about 40 degrees off from each other. So that's pretty close. So I can usually get pretty good signals from the same station I'm trying to get rid of on both of those. So that makes for a really good pair for phasing. So we'll take a look and see. So we've got some things to talk about tonight. We've got our next batch of frequencies coming up, our final batch of frequencies coming up, week 18. This is our final batch for this week, for this season. Season 3 of the Medium Wave Frequency Challenge will be ending next week. And so we're going to announce the last one tonight, in the next hour. And we'll be wrapping up our current week, 1460, 1470, and 1480. I held out a lot of hope for this one, but it was, when I did have a chance to DX, it was the same stations over and over. So I finally just, I didn't really have a lot of time to really devote to it. So I just kind of threw my hands in the air and said, oh, there we go. So yeah, that's what we've been working off of this week. don't forget, we'll get your shout outs in here tonight. I got the shout out form link pinned on the chat here for our YouTube folks. And so we'll be getting your shout outs in here later on the show. I also have our season finale form so that we can get you guys recognition for all of your accomplishments this year. So the big stuff that you've had, the main, like, man, these are the awesome things that we've done together since August, I guess, September or so, and then through next week. So I'll be sending that form link out here soon. Jerry mentioned, the AirSpy version 1920 official version, no longer release candidate. It's now official release. Just came out. I just updated it here on my main PC. I still need to update it on my Surface Pro 6 and on my Autologger machine, so I haven't done the update on those two just yet. But I did update on the main PC, and there's been some concern for some folks who use it for autologging, use SDR Sharp with their autologger and the autologging plugin about the new update. I did try it out. It seemed to work fine from what I could tell, but still some testing yet to do on that. So, but it was able to pull up, and I was able to get it to work. I haven't tried the full scan just yet, but we'll be playing with that a bit this weekend as well. So, a lot to get to tonight. Yeah, let's go ahead and get started. We got some DX to do. I know that much. And this hour of Live DX is brought to you by nationalradioclub.org. Go there for more information on the member today. It's about that time, though. Top of the hour time frame. Well, what was that? That was my iPad falling here. Well, hold on a second. Let me back up. Get this model done. There we go. My iPad fell down off the mount. Anyway, it's top of the hour time frame, so we're looking for IDs. We're looking for not 1490, 1480. We're looking for top of the hour IDs here. We're going to start off on 1480. We're on the AirSpy HF Plus Discovery and SDR Sharp software right now, and this is on the 15-degree antenna. So this is a little preview of what you're going to maybe expect whenever we have this one up and running on the Kiwi. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what do we have here on the AirSpy tonight. This is Mobile, probably, with the oldies. Pro tip on this most recent version here, if they still have it on the official release, is this AGC panel. I keep this up, and I'll hit that learn button to get it to relearn kind of my current levels, because as you go through like sunset and things like that, it'll change. So there you go. So more than likely this is Mobile, the ABF, here on 1480. Let's take a tour down the next two frequencies here, 1470. The MBD Peoria. I never did hear him this week. Can you believe that? And again, I didn't really have a lot of time to devote to it, but I would have thought they'd at least showed up once. And I think they may have been here during the stream last week, but I wasn't able to confirm that. You guys are gonna love this next batch of frequencies. There's a lot here in this next batch. Other stuff we'll be talking about tonight, FMDX. This is part 2 of our FMDX coverage as we get ready for FM season. Tonight we're going to focus in on the RDS Autologger, specifically that one for SDR Sharp. So we're talking about what you need to do for that. Definitely get the shout outs in though. Want to make sure we get a chance to get your accomplishments heard. Got a handful in already. Got Walter in here, Barry, David, Carl, Jeff, Dennis, Earl, all up on deck. There's Mexico. Mike J just popped in with one. Including maybe some gumbo heading out tonight. Let's pop down to 1460. There's Baton Rouge. Hey, mama. So there's WXOK. My guess for this one is probably Egypt Lake. They've been pretty loud this week. And let's pop up here to 1480 for a second. We'll come back to that one. WMGG Egypt Lake. I'm really glad they dropped the HD. When they went all digital a couple years ago, it absolutely killed this frequency here in the Southeast. Killed it. They went 100% digital. And no more. And 1480. Because it'll be XOK here on 1460. WMGG, Egypt Lake, Florida on 1470. There's WABF, probably Mobile with the oldies there on 1480. And there's one other station in there as well. Well, it's more classic hits than oldies, I guess. All right, so yeah, that's probably Mobile. I don't want to go too crazy with the potential for the what you call it, copyright infringement stuff there. Let's go over here and take a look at the Kiwi Kaz.
Alabama's Kool-Aid McKinstry with the 9th pick in the second round. Next pick for them isn't until round 5. We'll see if they make any action tonight. For us,
oh, why did that come back?
Take a quick break. We'll be right back with
supposed
more
to be right there.
coverage right here from Hooters on Vets and Metairie after this on WWL.
1480. So you can see the Kiwi still kind of filling in here. It's still pretty early. I don't know why that jumped the RF attenuation way off. I have it set to automatically be at 15 dB, but it did not do that for some reason. That's definitely Mobile there. That's Egypt Lake again. And then XOK was here, but on the South Kaz, they're not really coming in all that much. So, all right, let's go ahead and get ready for our first break. And when we come back, we're doing some shout outs, our first round of shout outs. And we are going to do a little talk about FMDX again this week, our part 2 of our FMDX series. Our second and final part of our FMDX series, getting us ready for the FM season. Tonight, we're focusing in on Autologger, and specifically the SDR Sharp Autologger, because that's the only one I've gotten to work. I haven't gotten console to work yet. So we're going to get started with that. Of course, later on this hour, we're going to have our new frequencies of the week. And I told a couple folks last night, look, this frequency range, this is the biggest frequency range that I think, with the exception of when we do the expanded band. Maybe that one is a little bit, because there's like, 10 frequencies there? With the exception of the expanded band, this is the biggest frequency range that we have done maybe ever outside of the expanded band. And those are pretty easy because, there's like 10 frequencies, but they're like 2 on each one. This has a little bit of clear channel in it. This has some regionals, has some, a lot of stuff in this range we're going to be looking at. So I'm very, very excited to see what comes of this next week. So we'll be announcing that one here later on this hour. So don't go anywhere, my friend. This is DX Central Live, right here on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. And we are bringing you live DX. We'll be right back after this with more.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AMDXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News Member Bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and where to look? Let Teague Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van Horn brings you equipment reviews, an SDR buyer's guide, feature articles, and more. Pick up your copy today. Visit teaguepublishing.com for more information. That's teaguepublishing.com. From the pages of its DX Monitor Member Bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AMDX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AMDXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
I need to retry the log. I had one in Charleston I tried out, and it was super deaf. But now I've got that W6 LVP experimenter kit now. I'd give that a shot. See how it works. And I could probably... I was thinking I might try to put it in the entire length of the backyard, the entire circumference of the backyard, but that might not work. I don't know. I think, well, maybe I could actually. Might have to give that some thought. That could be a fun little experiment for this summer. You guys know I love experimenting with antennas. It's DX Central Live here on the North Shore Studios, in the North Shore Studios here on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. We come to you every Friday night at 6:45 Central with live DX. We talk DX, we do shout outs of what you've been DXing. It's just DX, DX, DX. That's what we care about here. So a couple of things I want to get to before we get to the shout out. So again, we will be talking FMDX tonight as our primary, at least for this first hour, talking about the RDS autologger. So we'll be looking at that, and that's the autologger specific to SDR Sharp, which is, I think, the easiest one to get into. So, well, mainly because I haven't gotten any success getting the SDR console version to work, but that's besides the point. Or maybe it is the point. So we'll talk about the SDR Sharp. I think it's the easiest, lowest barrier to entry for folks to get into RDS auto logging. So we'll talk about that tonight, what you need, how to get it set up, and so forth. And then we'll also be getting, again, to your shout outs. And there's something else I was going to mention there a second ago. Now I don't remember what it was. Oh, we're going to look at the auto logs that we got in. While we're talking about auto loggers, we'll talk about the auto logs that came in overnight. We got some tropo that opened up into our northeast, up and towards Mississippi and Alabama. So I haven't even had a chance to look at those yet. I just kind of glanced and I was like, oh, that looks like a lot. But I haven't had a chance to look at a single one yet. So we'll look at those together, and I can kind of talk about what that looks like. And kind of how to sort through those things that might come in. There was something else I was going to mention to you guys, and now I forgot what it was. I mean, obviously, we're getting ready for our end of the season here. Our last episode of DX Central Live for Season 4 will be next week on May 3rd. And in addition to announcing and wrapping up our medium wave frequency challenge for the season, we'll be announcing the results from Season 3, kind of pouring through those. We'll get those in pretty much live. We'll also be announcing something else on May 3rd during DX Central Live, a new thing. So very excited about this one. I think this is going to be really, really cool. Some of you may know the Grand Slam DX Challenge. We did last year the baseball themed or baseball challenge, right? Hearing as many different stations carrying baseball games on the team networks as you could hear. That's still there. That's going to be on pause for right now. There's some logistical things that we need to figure out, taking some of the feedback in from everybody of what they liked, what they didn't like, what we want to work on. Just need some more time on that to get that ready to go, honestly. We might try to get something after the All-Star break. Maybe not. We'll see how it goes. We need some resources to help us out with that, from a coding perspective and stuff like that. So we'll take a stab at it. If we can't pull it off, no worries. I've got you covered for the summer. I've got a challenge ready to go for this summer that I think you guys are really going to like. So we'll be talking about that next week. We'll be talking about, there was something, I remember what I should have written it down on my board up here, because now it was there and I was like, oh, don't forget to talk about that. And now it's gone. I should have written it on my board. That's what those are there for, Lloyd. We will be doing the Grand Slam DX Challenge eventually at some point. Just right now, I don't want to put this back out again and just rehash what we did last year and look like we learned nothing from it. I want to do it the right way, and I want to be able to incorporate it into the challenge stuff that we're doing now with our challenge website. So that rebranding that and kind of reskinning that with our new themes and things like that, it's just going to take some work and some time. So just bear with us on that. We'll get that done. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our first round of shout outs. I want to get those in here real quick because we have those starting to kind of pour in now. Let's make sure that Horn of Victory is Ready to roll. It is. All right. So I see a handful of additional shout outs have come in since I last looked. So that's awesome. Keep them coming. We've got the chat pin there with the shout out link. So make sure you click on that link if you have new logs, new countries, new states, new Canadian provinces. If you have new Louisiana logs, new Wisconsin logs, milestones you hit, goals you accomplished, new gear that you got in, whatever it might be. That you want to share with us, a shout out for you, get that in on the shout out form, and we'll give you your shout out here on air. Sound good? All right, let's start from the top here and work our way down. We're gonna start off with our buddy Earl from University City, Missouri. Earl Higgins. Okay, I don't know why I just did it once. I hit it like 5 times. KYYW 1470 in Abilene, Texas was a new log briefly over Superpest WMBD, which almost nobody ever breaks through on top of that one. So, new log for Earl. New log for Earl. There we go. What was that? Okay, I hope you guys are still seeing me because my computer is flipping itself out right now. I'm pushing the buttons and nothing's happening. Good lord. Okay, let's try that again. Let's give Earl an actual proper chainsaw. There we go. Actual log this time. You know, I've been sitting here now for 2 years, back and forth on the idea that I will have to eventually get myself a new computer that is solely for the streaming purposes, right? All it does is stream. And I've talked myself out of it every time. I think season 5 might have to be the year that I just go out and snag a computer that's sole purpose is just to stream the live stream. That's all it does. And then I remote in to all of my SDRs using Google Remote Desktop. That might be what I have to do. Because this kind of stuff, that little I don't like that. I don't like that at all. The saw was running out of gas. Yeah. Yeah, that was fun. All right, congratulations, Earl, my friend. Good. Why is this? Come on, multiple hits. It's giving me 1 hit. I don't know, guys. This thing has been freezing up on me a lot lately, and I'm getting a little concerned. Okay, we'll try it again. Walter, Albany, Georgia, has got himself a handful of stations here. So we're going to start off with 1460 WBNS in Columbus, Ohio. Actually, that's Georgia. No, that is Ohio, isn't it? Columbus, Ohio, 1460 WBNS. Got the end of the Knicks 76ers playoff game. That's about 754 miles from him. 1470 got him to WRGA, Rome, Georgia. And that's about 225 miles. 1480 WJTW in Bridgeport, Alabama, for a distance of 335 miles. And WPFJ from my old neck of the woods up in Franklin, North Carolina on 1480. That was about 353 miles. Actually, when I lived out in Western North Carolina, I wrote them to get a QSL, and they sent me a very nice glass mug. It had like gold trim on it and stuff, and gold lettering, clear glass mug. Beautiful. All right, we got logs for you, then. I hope. The Horn of Victory is not wanting to cooperate tonight. Imagine that. Yeah, back to the thing there. Okay. All right. I apologize, guys. This is after I did a restart today to make sure that everything would be nice and ready to go for tonight. It's just not doing its part. Barry, this one's an easy one. This should be easy. Got a goal. Reached 1,600 logs. All right, my friend. Now it worked. 1,600 logs for Barry. Is it gonna come back? Is it doing anything? I'm waiting for it to just be like blah, 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 blah. So I hope you guys can hear me here. There we go. Now it's there we go. I was expecting it to go blah, 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 blah. 1,600 logs. Over 10 stations per frequency. You're dang right it is. That's amazing work, man. And I think that's over like the span of like what, 3 years, roughly, wasn't it? It wasn't a very long period of time that you've done this, or maybe it was like 4 years or 5. Regardless, man, 1,600 logs is crazy awesome. Congratulations, my friend. All right, David Flotman, Columbia, received KKOY in Kansas on 1460. Special log for him is KKOY is in his dad's hometown, but had never got it there in Columbia without the Superloop and the Air Spy. So new log for him, and it's a big one. Glad we were able to get that working that time. Chainsaw worked on that one. Good. Our friend Carl in Kingsport, Tennessee, 10 new stations this week with 2 on the challenge frequencies. 1460 KH OJ, Missouri, and WJCP, Indiana, outside the challenge frequencies. Snagged WKZK in South Carolina, WSBV in Virginia, WBRG in Virginia, WCOK North Carolina, WMRN Ohio, WBLR South Carolina, WNTJ Pennsylvania, WQCR Alabama. Totals now sit at 743 AM stations logged. And he didn't put this in here, but I know it's a fact. Carl has a goal of getting to 750 by the time he gets to middle of May. And I think last time I checked, he was at 12. Now he's at 7. So he's getting closer. And I think he's going to be able to hit that 750 mark. And probably even then some by the time we get to mid-May. So congratulations, my friend. New logs all the way around. There you go. All right, we'll do one more, and then we'll put a pin in the rest of those until we get to round 2. So we'll do one more this round, and then we'll go to round 2. Jeff Emmel, Fishers, Indiana, my friend, got himself still going through his Eclipse recordings, which I haven't even touched. I haven't even touched my Eclipse recordings yet. I'm so far behind. But during the daytime, from Fishers, Indiana, snagged KCTA 1030 Corpus Christi. 1,048 miles daytime DX, man. I was just saying, come on, man. There you go. And that's a station that we hear daytime here, but it's like right across the Gulf of Mexico, so that's duh. But to get that 1,048 miles from Indiana during the middle of the day. Even with the Eclipse, that's still a pretty good accomplishment. So, well done, my friend. We got round 2 coming up. We got Dennis in there. We got Mexico Mike J. We got David Harden. We got Mesa Mike. There's too many mics. We got Mesa Mike, Mexico Mike J, Dennis, and David coming up, and we can get yours too if you get your shout out in. Just get that shout out submission form submitted, and we'll get you in here into round 2, hopefully a bit later on in the program. All right, let's talk about some auto logger stuff for FM and auto logging RDS decode. So you guys have heard me talk a bit about, let me close out some of these windows before my computer will freak out, because once I open up SDR Sharp, it's going to go nuts. Close Jaguar. And I'll go ahead and close the Kiwi and the remote desktop. So now we're really streamlined. Okay. You've heard me talk a bit about the auto logger here on DX Central Live and what a powerful thing it can actually be. Let me give you a little bit of a demonstration here of what it can do. Now, this is just from this last night, overnight last night. This is my auto logger from the past 24 hours, okay? You see what it's snagged here in the last 24 hours. Now, a lot of this, especially down here along the coastline, is routine tropo, right? It's stuff that I get whenever there's a little bit of a tropo enhancement. I get it pretty regularly, especially up until you get here in Mobile. These other ones are a little bit more significant tropo. It takes a little bit stronger tropo opening to get over here into Panama City and Tallahassee and Pensacola, stuff like that. But those are some ones that I've also heard relatively regularly. Then you get up in here, these that are further inland like that, that's a little more rare. These openings that push further inland towards Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Montgomery, up into northern Mississippi, stuff like that, those don't really come that often. So when they do, it's pretty nice. I didn't even realize, I hadn't had time this week to look at the tropo forecast maps. I didn't realize this was coming. Because this tropo opening kind of snuck up on me. So it was nice to see, but I wasn't paying attention. So there are probably at least a handful of stations in here that I have not yet logged before that are now able to be put in my logbook because the auto logger grabbed them. And I would have missed those if I didn't have the auto logger. Now, there are some folks who look at auto loggers and they say, I don't want to put something in my logbook unless I've heard it myself, right? They don't trust the auto logging or the decodes from the RDS signal coming in, or they just have a preference to say, I want to hear it with my own ears before I put it in the logbook. Totally cool. That's totally fine. I get that. I understand. It's not my preference. I look at it and I say, hey, my gear took care of that. I put that antenna up for a reason. I've got my gear running. I've made the advancements in my shack and my knowledge base to be able to have this technology. So if it grabs it, I'm going to grab it. As long as it's not like some random weirdness, right? Like Oregon, I had one from Alberta a couple months ago and I was like, that's clearly not real. I just deleted it and I was fine. But by and large, like this is this is indicative. Anything that's in here, I would say is accurate, because that's directionally accurate. Those are where all those that opening was coming from, and the tropo and all the conditions were kind of pointing in that direction. So that tells me this is real, right? These aren't false decodes. Those are real decodes. So I'm okay from my standpoint putting those in my logbook and going and saying, hey, the auto logger took care of that. Because again, that's my gear, my antenna that I put up in the air. I put the work in to put it in there. So I want to take advantage of it. But even if you don't, okay, again, I'm not judging anybody who doesn't. That's totally fine. Everyone DXs their own way. If you don't, at the very least, what is this? This is an amazing, an amazing propagation tool that is now at my disposal. Again, I wasn't paying attention to the forecast. I had not been looking to see that there was tropo on the horizon for me here. So had I missed this, right? Had I not seen these things popping up on my auto logger, I would have never known it was there at all. But let's say I was paying attention to my auto logger and I was looking at this saying, oh wow, there's some conditions that are now enhancing stations to my northeast. I can jump on my radio where I have my 9-element Yagi up, and I can then DX live, and I can get those stations, and I can say, okay, the auto logger saw 105.1 to be JDX. Let me swing to 105.1. There they are. Yep, that's them. All right, go ahead and put them in the logbook. So then I can go in and I can fill in those gaps using this as my guide and my propagation tool. So at the very bare minimum, even if you don't use auto logger to put more stuff into your logbook, it can be extremely helpful for making sure you know when openings are happening, where they're happening to during e-skip. This was a lot of times my first alert before I ever got an alert from FM List, before I ever got any kind of notification from anybody in the Slack channel or anything else that something was going on. This would a lot of times be like, whoosh, there's something up in Maryland. Whoosh, now there's something in Pennsylvania. Okay, we've got ourselves an opening now up into that neck of the woods. So at the bare minimum, this is a propagation tool. And it's not just a propagation tool for you, I might add. It's also a propagation tool for all of us, because there is the overall FM reception map that is here for auto loggers, anyone who has an auto logger. And yeah, you don't have to have an auto logger to use this, to look at this map. But obviously, it helps that the more that we have, the more these auto loggers are on this map, the more filled in this is, the more we can spot propagation when it happens. So you can see here, here is an auto logger here from Maylene. That's I think that's N1LF Les Rayburn here. He was seeing down into my neck of the woods. He was seeing over here. What does that do? That confirms what I was seeing too, right? That's also confirming. And then you've got Henderson, Tennessee up here with their dipole, also seeing down in here. Again, confirming those receptions, confirming that the propagation down this way was conducive to stations between those areas. So this can help us confirm openings. It can help us spot openings. It can tell us where to point the antenna. It can tell us what stations to go look for. How high is the MUF? All these things, and you don't have to do anything. You just put it up there, you let it run, and it's done. Okay. So let's talk really briefly about how you get this going. And I see Rick's in. Rick, good to see you there, my friend. Was worried about you tonight. Really, really happy that you're here, my friend. I know it was pretty rough weather up your neck of the woods. All right, so let's talk about how to get this auto logger started. So the first thing you're going to make sure that you do, and I'm going to put this email here in the chat really quick, is you have to reach out to Russ. That's KB8U, and here is his email address. I'll put that in the chat. So KB8U Russ, he kind of gets everything set up. So what you basically do is you need to send to Russ your Latin long. Okay. So you want to tell him your Latin long. I gave him both formats. I gave him like the in my case, it's like 30.37, negative 90.07, whatever. I gave him that format, and I also gave him the 900456 or 38 West, 3022 right. I gave him both formats, whichever one he needs. So you may just want to be thorough that way. I don't know which one he prefers. And then I gave him my grid square as well, my Echo Mic 40 grid square, to tell him where my location was. And then I gave him a really quick rundown, really briefly, of what my gear is. And it's changed since then. I had my Elad FDMS3 that I was going to use. I'm using my AirSpice. I actually need to email him and tell him to change that on the list. But it still shows my FDMS3 on there. So just a real quick little blurb and what you want it to say. Like mine says Mandeville, Louisiana, oh, now it says AirSpot HF Plus Discovery dipole up at 21 feet. So it actually does say that now. So there you go. You just email him your information, your location, and you request to get an account set up with Rabbit Ears for your auto logger. He'll then send you an email that has everything you need. It has the links that you need for the instructions on how to get set up, and he tells you all the information about your account and so forth. So when you request that information from him, he actually sets you up a unique account with a unique numerical identifier. And that identifier is tied to you and your location. So when you set everything up on your computer with the autologger itself and downloading like the plugin and then the Rabbit Ears task that runs in the background, you plug in your identifier in there so that when you send your logs up, it knows who you are, where to tag it on the map, and so forth. That's how it all kind of pans out and how it knows what to do. So he'll send to you, and I'll show you the screen here. This is the email that you'll get from him. So there are Windows versions to interface with SDR Console and SDR Sharp. We're going to kind of focus on that one tonight. That can be downloaded here for SDR Console and here for SDR Sharp. Whatever SDR hardware you have that will run on either of those will work. So if you have an RSPDX and you're running in console, my Elad in console would have worked. As long as you're running in one of those two programs, if your SDR works in one of those two programs, you're good. Okay. RTL SDR dongle, if you're using that on SDR Sharp, that will work, or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's the software that's the most important piece. So then you'll enter your user ID, which for me was ID95, when the installer requests that. And this installer we're talking about here, this one is the SDR Sharp. This is basically a Rabbit Ears task scheduler. So it's basically what's happening in the SDR Sharp version is that you have a plugin that you install, and that plugin is right here. There's the link for it. That plugin is, you set it up and you tell it what frequency range you want to scan. And you scan, basically, I do it from 88.1 to 107.9. I do the entire band. And it goes to each frequency and it pauses for whatever amount of time you tell it you want it to do. I do 4 seconds. So you have it pause for 4 seconds, and then it goes to the next frequency, and then it pauses 4 seconds, and it goes to the next frequency, and so forth. And what it's doing is that little plugin is looking for an RDS decode to come in. When it gets one, it then takes that decode and the frequency and the time and all that stuff, and it puts it onto a spreadsheet on your computer, and it stores that on a spreadsheet. That's what the plugin does. That is within SDR Sharp. Okay. So I'm keeping this separate because there are two different things that are happening here. One is you have a plugin within SDR Sharp that's actually taking those decodes that SDR Sharp gets and it's putting them on a spreadsheet, right? That's number one that's happening. The second thing that's happening is then this Rabbit Ears plugin that we looked at right here for SDR Sharp, this guy, what it's doing is it's taking that spreadsheet that is being added to every time there's an RDSD code, it's taking that spreadsheet and it's looking at it and it's saying, okay, they're on 92.5. It just got a decode of 18FB. Okay. So then it looks and goes and it looks at the WTFDA database and it says, is there on that frequency, is that code there? And if it finds a match and it says, okay, what is the station information? Where is that located? And let's say it's in Wyoming. So then it then puts a little plot on the map between your location because it knows it's coming from you because you're entering your little unique identifier in. It says, okay, put a plot on our map from Lloyd and Mandeville up to that station location in Wyoming. Puts it on the map. That's how it populates this information. Okay. So that's how it knows what to do here. It's taking a look at those RDSD codes that come in. It looks at the WTFDA database and says, is there a match? Finds the match. Okay, give me the station information. And then it plots it on the map here. And it tells you, if you click on these little gray buttons here, these gray little icons, it'll actually tell you what the station, who the station is, what time and date it was found, what the frequency is, where they're located, how far they are, right? What's their power, their tower height, what's their power, their azimuth from you. And then there's a delete button. And that delete button is handy for those rare instances, which I don't get a lot of these with SDR Sharp, I'll be honest with you. Most of the time, it's pretty accurate. Every once in a great while, you might get a false decode for various reasons. But if you do, all you have to do is hit delete and it goes away. Okay, it's not going to sit there and clutter up your screen. So that's what the process basically is you turn on SDR Sharp, you turn on the plugin, you set the parameters you want it to do, and then you let it run. And I will show you right now. You guys have seen this before, right? Let's show you my auto logger. Oh, come on. Don't save that. Okay. So this is my auto logger right now. This is, it's on 95.1. Now it's on 95.3. Then it goes to 95.5. Then it's going to go to 95.7 and so forth. It's going to sit there for 4 seconds on each frequency. Now, there's a couple things. You can, in this particular case, I think on the SDR console version, you keep a list of what PI codes you want to skip. On here, what you basically do is you have an option to skip locals. You can actually have it identify what are the local stations in your area. And then once it finds those, you can skip those so they don't clutter up your map. I tend to not do that. Yes, when it's on that frequency for 4 seconds, that's 4 seconds. It could be on another frequency. I get that. I understand. Which kind of sucks for Meteor Scatter. And so if there's not a Tropo opening or there's not a eSkip opening, I probably will skip locals because for Meteor Scatter, every second kind of counts. But during Tropo and eSkip season, I don't skip locals because this is critical. If you have Tropo or eSkip that is powerful enough to overtake one of your local stations, that's one of the only chances you've got, okay, at getting a station on that frequency other than your local. And I've had a lot of times where that's happened, where my locals were overtaken by Tropo or by eSkip or whatever station it might have been. Now, some of the more powerful locals, maybe not, but definitely some of those that are a little borderline, a little lower power, maybe a little bit further away from me. Definitely those, absolutely. I've had those be overtaken by DX. So just something to keep in mind when you're setting this up. So how do you set it up? Let me go back. I shouldn't have closed that out. There it is. So you've got this is the RDS Autologger plugin. Okay. So you'll see here on the email from Russ that he gives you the link to download it. So if you go to that link, you'll see it here and you download the most recent version, which right now is this one here. It's for anything above version 1672. We're at 1920 now. So it's been around for a while. So this is the actual plugin that you download that actually does the scan and log of the RDS. Okay. Then he has this link here that you would click and it actually downloads a file to your computer that would install basically this task that sits there and looks at that spreadsheet file and then compares it to the WTFDA database and is plotting all that on the map, right? So let me give you a really quick rundown. So here in SDR Sharp, it's super, super easy. Basically, you download the plugin, okay? You extract the zipped plugin file into your SDR Sharp. And I'm going to do a video on this, by the way. So I'll give you guys all the step-by-step. You unzip and extract all those files to your SDR Sharp folder, wherever you have that saved, which hopefully is the C drive, right? So you extract that into your SDR Sharp folder. There are 2 files, and then there's a folder. The folder is where all the decodes are stored. And then the 2 files, there's a DLL, and then there's a README file. The DLL, I think, sits in your main SDR Sharp folder, but I also put a copy of it into my plugins folder for SDR Sharp, and I found that's where it worked. If I didn't do that, it didn't work. So you make sure you have a copy of the DLL in your plugins folder. And then if you read the README, there's also instructions on updating. There's a plugins.xml file that's in your SDR Sharp folder. And there are instructions in the README that shows you what to put there. So you just follow those instructions. And then once you do that, then you'll come in here in the SDR Sharp, and you'll have in your plugins menu here. I've got a bunch, but you'll have your RDS auto logger in here, wherever it is on my list. I'm not gonna. There it is, right there. It's in alphabetical order, I guess. So there's your RDS auto logger. So once you enable that and it brings up the window, then you've got here this little panel, and then you see the different settings. So I set it to 200 kilohertz spacing. I set it to log. If you don't click log, it won't log anything. I don't skip my locals. I do set it to be 160,000 hertz in bandwidth. That is wide enough to allow that to come through, the RDS signal to come through. It's wide enough to allow that, but it's narrow enough so that adjacent channels aren't going to bug you. Okay, you can go down to 150. I talked with Youssef about that. He was like, I would probably keep it around 160-ish is probably your sweet spot. Okay, much wider than that, sometimes some frequencies are going to get some splatter. Much more narrow than that, sometimes it's a little tight if that RDS signal is going to be able to make it through or not, especially if it's not really, really strong. So I would put it at about 160,000 hertz, and you on your bandwidth, which is this folder right here, this filter bandwidth. If you do that, you should be good. Then you'll have your frequency range. You'll have your seconds right here, your wait time. That's the 4 seconds before it goes to the next frequency. And then you have your frequency range here. Again, I do 88.1 to 107.9, but you can expand that out lower if you want to. And so, yeah, that's basically it. And then you hit apply settings and then turn it on and start the scan. There you go. And it's going to just do what it's been doing here. You'll see now it's at 91.5. There's an RDSD code right there. So it's logging that RDS code right there onto that spreadsheet, and it's going to populate my map. Okay, and that's really it. Again, I'll do a video that kind of walks through the actual steps, updating the XML file, where to put all your download files and things like that. And then I'll also talk through, because with this particular machine that you're seeing right here on screen, this is Windows 11 machine. I had to do a little bit of tweaking to get that Rabbit Ears plugin, that Rabbit Ears task file to actually do what it needed to do. So Russ and I kind of talked back and forth, and we figured out finally how to do it. So if you're running Windows 11, I'll show you how to. Windows 10 didn't have this problem, but Windows 11 did for some reason. And apparently not everybody has had this problem, but if you do, I'll teach you how to walk through to get that fixed in the video as well. So we'll have that up and running here soon. Before I was recording on it earlier today, but I just ran out of time. So we'll get that up and running soon before we really get into the heart of FMDX season. So if you have an AirSpy or RTL or something else that works within SDR Sharp, you have an antenna that you'd like to spare for FMDX, I recommend something as omnidirectional as possible, as high as possible. If you have the equipment to spare and you like to run an autologger, I highly recommend that you do. Your first step, though, is start by emailing Russ and get him to give you that unique code and the instructions and the links and everything that you need, and then you're good to go. Okay. All right. One other thing with SDR Sharp. So with console, you can actually, my understanding is you can set it up to run automatically, so that every time, like if you close down SDR console and you bring it back up again, it just starts running. SDR Sharp version doesn't do that. With SDR Sharp, you have to initiate, like if it closes down for whatever reason, you have to open it back up, go back in and redo all your settings. Like you have to do that manually every time. Now, I've been running this now for over 2 weeks, and it's not, I don't have any problems. And it takes about 5 seconds to go in there and just tweak your settings and you're done. So it's not that big a deal. It's just something you need to keep in mind, is that every time you initialize, if you close that program for whatever reason, which I don't think you're probably going to be doing, but if you were to close it, or if you lose power or whatever, when you bring it back up, you will have to go back in and initialize that and redo all your settings and stuff on that RDS plugin. It's a small price to pay for the DX though, I think. That's just me. That's just me. All right. For our SDR console, folks, I have not gotten that to work on my side. I'll probably try to play with that a little bit this year because I do still have my RDSD, my RSPDX that I would probably like to run as an auto logger. So I have two, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I just haven't gotten that serial port thing to work yet. I don't know serial ports and virtual serial ports. I don't know all that stuff. It's not my wheelhouse. So I just got to learn. That's all that is. All right, let's go ahead and get ready for our next batch of frequencies for the medium wave frequency challenge. And we are closing in now here on our last week. It is our last week of the year. And if I can close this down. I'm just working on getting all my SDRs back up now that I had to close down. So yeah, we are going to be closing in here on our last week of the year. This is week 18 for the frequency challenge, so it'll be our final week. And I've mentioned it a couple times, this is going to be a doozy for a couple of different reasons. One, there are a lot of stations in this frequency range, okay? Number one, there are a lot of stations that you can log that are going to be potential stations for you to log. But number two, this is the biggest frequency range that we've done outside of the expanded band. So it's going to be a grind, and we're only doing a week. So you got 1 week to do 8 frequencies. You guys ready for 8 frequencies? 8 frequencies in a week. That's more than one a day, for sure. Because let me see. Sorry, 7 frequencies, right? 7 frequencies. So one more than the graveyard week. So we have 7 frequencies to get to this week. And it's a good mix of some regionals, some clear channel, and so forth. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this announcement in, and then we can start looking at some of these frequencies together. You ready for our last week of the medium wave frequency challenge for season 3? Roll the footage. Whoa. 730 to 790. My friends, think about this, okay? There's a lot here. 790's packed. 780's pretty barren. There's like a couple of stations there, so that was a little bit of a reprieve, right? But maybe you might get some distant stuff there. 770's, even with like WABC and some of the others that are already on there, like the bigger guns, there's still a lot of kind of stuff, other stuff kind of packed in there. It's actually a pretty busy frequency, and there's some good Latin stuff on 780 and 770, right? 760, you got WJR and a couple others, out west, but there's a lot in between those two big guns, including some stuff down in Mexico. So Mexico Mike P, Mike J, you guys got some stuff this week. If I can get past ACH, I'll be happy. Or ABC, sorry, XCABC. You got some other stuff down in Latin America. 750, we know it's there. Saskatchewan, WSB, Progresso, Oregon, maybe the Kiwi Kaz might be back northwest this week. 740, there's a ton of stuff there, really. I mean, there's Zoomer, there's KTRH, there's KRMG. There's just a bunch of stuff on 740. 730, big Mexican clear, and there's a bunch of little lower powered stuff in there. So this is gonna be a big one, okay? This is a big frequency range, and again, 790 is packed. 790 is packed with stuff as a regional, so there's gonna be a lot of cool stuff this week on this week's frequency range. So let's go ahead and start off here. Actually, I think we are. Let me look here and see. Yeah, I think we're late enough now into the evening here that we might be able to get some stuff here on some of these lower frequencies on the Kiwi. Let's start there for our first round of this this DX. Of course, this hour of live DX brought to you by International Radio Club of America. That's the IRCA online.org. Go there for more information about becoming a member today. Let's start off with the Kiwi and see what it looks like on 790. We have a local on 800 that we got splatter from, so I got to go here. Guarantee you that's going to be Cuba. I mean, here we hear the clock ticks. So that's in Cuba there. XEX has been weak in recent days. They are a pest for me. Let's just go there now. You don't say. You don't say. This might be the perfect week for us to get something on 730 besides Mexico. Woo-hoo-hoo. So we're going to spend some time on that one then. So there's Radio Reloj in Cuba. That's our predominant station here on 790. Radio Reloj. And we do have our Perseus up and running as well. And this one's on the 125 degree southeast antenna. Noise is pretty noisy. Radio Reloj. See how much louder they are on that? Okay, let me just demonstrate here for you. So this is my this is our 150 degree. This is looking right at the border of Panama and Colombia. Okay, if you think about it, from Louisiana, from New Orleans, down to the border of Colombia and Panama, 25 foot by 72 foot elevated CAS on 790 listening to Cuba. And this Cuban Reloj is right, as a reminder, it's right here at 142 degrees, okay? It's 142 degrees from here to this Reloj, this outlet we're listening to, all right? So let's start here on the Kiwi, or on the Perseus with the Superloop. It's 125 degrees. So it's looking more like up in this, towards this way. Let's listen to their signal here. This is 20 foot by 97 feet. On the Perseus, 20 by 97. Now let's go back to our Kiwi with 150 foot degree, 25 by 72. So it's pointing more directly at him, right? That's number one. 142 degrees is where they're located, and this is a 150 degree antenna versus 125 for the other one. The other one's bigger, considerably bigger, by about 20 feet horizontally. This one's 5 feet higher vertically, but it's about 25 feet shorter horizontally, and you see the difference. Loud, huh? That's a pretty good difference. That's a pretty significant difference between these two antennas. And otherwise, this is pretty even between the Perseus and the Kiwi as far as their overall sensitivity. It's fairly even. This one has, 15 dB of attenuation. The Perseus has got 12 dB of attenuation. So overall, it's fairly even between the two. But that antenna, man, that makes a huge difference. Let's go look at 780 now. Again, we're looking south. And let's go to stereo mode here. Quasi stereo, I guess. Bit noisy on that one for right now. That'll quiet down as we get closer into the evening. 770. We've got Rebellion here. We've got Columbia here as our big one on this frequency. 760. XEABC, man. I wish I could get something besides these guys, Mike. This is one that I'm going to be doing a lot of channel nulls and phasing and things like that to get rid of them this week. Because there is an RCN outlet down here in Colombia. There's a station in Quito in Ecuador, 10 kilowatt, that's what's within reach. And there's a couple in Central America as well. Further down in the South America, there is a Bolivian here, a 50 kilowatt Bolivian that I want really bad this summer. I'm going to be doing a lot of focus on that. There's also a station down in Chile, a 75 kilowatt down in Chile, in Santiago, on this frequency. Bolivia is one of my most desired countries right now. Bolivia and Chile are the top of my list. 750. Right now that's KKNO in Gretna, Louisiana, just to my south, because they're still on the air, but they'll be going off soon. WSB will be taking over, and then Progresso after that. It's that time. $740. Obviously, KTRH is one here, but we've also got a station down here in Cancun, Quintana Roo. We've got one in the XEKV in Villa Hermosa on this frequency as well. 2 stations in Mexico. There's a Cuban, Angulo. There's a Colombian down here. There's a Nicaraguan that I haven't heard yet. There's a lot on this frequency. The Nicaraguan, by the way, is a 50 kilowatt. There's a 50 kilowatt Managua Nicaraguan station here. That's within reach, especially on this antenna. And then 730, which is normally XEX. I wonder, I know there's a Progresso outlet here. Yeah, that's who that is. That's Progresso on the tiny little island of La Fe, just off the Cuban coast. That's who that is. Hey, Haley. There's another station in there. I wonder if that is XEX or maybe La Voz de los Mayas. Oh, that'd be nice to get them, but I think they're probably pretty weak if I'm right. No, they're 10K. So that's Progresso. Let's go back up here to the let's do 740 first. And 770. We'll bounce back and forth on these two for right now.
Eso es lo que va a costar el impacto a las aseguradoras del huracán Otis. Ahora, claro que los daños para Acapulco son mucho mayores. Esa cifra yo no la tengo, pero yo creo que las autoridades poco a poco irán teniendo mejor evaluado los daños totales, pero nosotros como sector asegurador 37,000 millones, de los cuales ya al día de hoy llevamos
Somebody running town hall.
millones de pesos y seguimos en el proceso de finiquitar los ajustes y las determinaciones de las pérdidas con los asegurados.
Is this Sandino?
¿Cuándo estiman ustedes terminar con esta liquidación de todo lo relacionado con Otis? Hago un paréntesis, no todo el mundo estaba asegurado, evidentemente es un porcentaje muy menor, por eso coincido contigo cuando afirmas, tú por supuesto con más conocimiento de causa, que los daños van a ser mucho menores económicamente hablando. Exacto. Mira, la estimación...
The Quintana Roo station is a formula. There is another formula
son como 110 hoteles los que terminaron afectados.
I think that's Angulo. Cuban.
Y una suma
With the wobble.
de indemnización para los hoteles de cerca de 8,000 millones de pesos.
And then the one down in Villa Hermosa is W.
Liquidado a los asegurados, a los propietarios de los hoteles, a más tardar hacia finales del mes de mayo. Lo que está mucho más complicado es la parte de los condominios, los departamentos, que hay muchos muy afectados, porque allí...
Let's just take a look and see what Sandino is doing right now.
Pues algunos sí tenían seguro y otros no. Entonces, si tú tienes un edificio, por decir algo, con 10...
De martes, aquí estoy para premiarte con 10 millones de pesos.
Estaba esperando esto extraordinario. Para el martes, compra desde hoy tu pedacito por 40 pesitos o el billete completo por 800.
I'm gonna let it play for a second just in case that's a stream ad.
Entonces ahí empieza a haber discrepancias entre propietarios que sí quieren reparar ya.
7:3 minutos.
Estaban asegurados.
Damos inicio. Noches de bachatas. Diviértete con tus artistas.
Okay, so that's live.
Son más cautos, prefieren esperar.
I don't hear Sandino.
No tengan todos los recursos. Si le agregamos a eso el que también...
This should be RC in Bogota. That's Colombia. Colombia. And that little melody, that that's RC in all day. So we've got Colombia. We've got a couple of Spanish stations here.
En la historia de los asegurados en México fue la pandemia.
Craig in the chat says been picking up KATL Miles City, Montana recently on 770 WABC has been fairly scarce. Yeah, I know Jacob up in Minnesota has been hearing KATL quite a bit in recent months, weeks. I heard him a couple weeks ago. I heard Montana a couple weeks ago on 770, so it's definitely, especially once I swapped that antenna back to Northwest on the Kiwi Kaz, that would be an opportunity there for me to hear them potentially.
Te agradecemos mucho, Juan Patricio Riverol, el que nos hayas permitido esta conversación con la audiencia de Grupo Fórmula. Al contrario, Pepe, me da mucho gusto y te mando un abrazo y un saludo a tu público. Muchísimas gracias. Pronto, Juan Patricio Riverol, presidente de la Asociación Mexicana de Instituciones de Seguros. Costo, $2,000 millones. A los peléqueros por 18 le saca la cantidad, 360,000 millones de pesos. Esos son los cálculos de las compañías aseguradoras. Nos permite una pausa hasta afuera la pandemia por indemnizaciones. Una pausa, volvemos con más información.
En Querétaro encontré el romance. Casado, puedes tener una escapada romántica con tu pareja y enamorarte en sus viñedos y haciendas. Conoce más para este viaje de amor en Querétaro. Querétaro, encontré México. Ejecutivo del Estado de Querétaro. En Telcel Empresas entendemos tus dales más tu negocio. Como tu aliado, te ayudamos a garantizar la seguridad de tu información. Localizar en tiempo real tu plantilla y automatizar
No clue who this is. The female talking? No clue.
Entonces, yo te veo muy lamentable esta decisión del Instituto Electoral de la Ciudad de México. Es una tendencia que se ha dado, está en el retroceso, incluida la censura. No son los únicos, otros órganos electorales de carácter federal trataron de censurar el libro del presidente Andrés Manuel López Obrador. Por eso creo que es un tiempo de oscurantismo, ¿no? Que sigue lo que van a hacer, ¿no? Cerrar periódicos, quemar libros en la hoguera.
En tanto Morena y el gobierno de la Ciudad de México impugnarán ante el Tribunal Electoral la decisión de prohibir el uso del cártel inmobiliario para referirse a los candidatos del PAN. Los representantes de la Cuarta Transformación advirtieron que la autoridad electoral mostró una actitud muy peligrosa para la elección del 2 de junio, ya que están favoreciendo el candidato de un partido político. En tanto, la candidata de Morena, el Partido del Trabajo Verde Ecologista, Clara Brugada, advirtió que el cártel inmobiliario existe y no puede el Instituto Electoral Capitalino censurar la expresión de quienes participan en la elección. Escuchemos a Clara Brugada.
Hago un llamado entonces a la autoridad electoral para que actúe de forma imparcial, transparente y democrática a un órgano que está encargado de dirigir el proceso electoral. Porque por un lado actúan de forma expedita y por el otro son omisos.
Which one? The one that faded out, the one that's on top right now, Dennis?
Los consejeros es que no está claro que exista la comisión de delitos, de un delito. Parece que los consejeros no saben que hay más de 30 funcionarios
The one on top right now? Okay. I don't know who that one that was underneath him that faded away, who that was. But we'll be playing with that one a bit this week to see what we can get, and maybe some new ones might be hiding in there. That'd be nice. I'd really like to get that Sandino, man. I really want Sandino bad. Maybe another Colombian or two. That'd be nice. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we got more shout-outs to get to. We're going to be doing a little bit more FM talk. And then we'll be doing some more live DX for the rest of the night. So don't go anywhere, my friends. More DX Central Live is heading your way right after this.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
From the pages of its DX Monitor member bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AM/DX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AM/DXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and where to look? Let Teague Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van Horn brings you equipment reviews, an SDR buyer's guide, feature articles, and more. Pick up your copy today. Visit teaguepublishing.com for more information. That's teaguepublishing.com. Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AM/DXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News Member Bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
Yeah, checking the AirSpy software download page. Yeah, version 1920 was released yesterday. And so that's now out. I downloaded it here on the main machine here that we're on right now. And I did not leave that open. No, okay. Yeah, I downloaded on the main machine we're on right now. I'm testing it out just to make sure that that RDS autologger plugin still works with the new release candidate. It should. I've been using it on, I'm sorry, not release candidate, the release, the most updated, the 1920 official release. I've been testing it on the release candidate now for a while, and it's worked fine. So it should be fine. We shall see. We'll double check and make sure that gets done. All right, so it's DX Central Live here from the North Shore Studios every Friday night for at least one more week. Starting at 6:45 Central Time, 23:45 UTC, bringing you live AM DX, occasionally some FM stuff in there as well. Your shout outs and a whole lot more. We've been talking FM DX this last hour rather, talking about RDS autologging. We'll wrap up our FM discussion here in just a few moments, a little bit more. But first, before we do that, we got some shout outs to get to, my friends. And you know what that means. And it looks like the horn's back up and running now. So I think we should be okay. I'm going to knock on wood as I say that. There we go. All right. Let's take a look now at our shout outs. And these are where you submit your accomplishments over the last week. So new stations that you've heard, new countries, new states, new Canadian provinces, if you happen to do that. New states from the country of Mexico, new stations from Wisconsin, new stations from Louisiana. If you hit a goal or a milestone or got some new gear, whatever it might be that you want to talk about and get yourself a little pat on the back, we like to do that around here. We like to give each other a pat on the back and prop each other up and help us keep motivated to keep on DXing. And that's what the shout outs are all about. So we're going to get to those now here for round two. We're going to start off with our friend Senor Dennis Bannister in Ladysmith, Virginia. 16 new logs this week, all coming on the challenge frequencies for our friend Dennis. Starting on 1460. WTKT in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. WHBK in Marshall, South Carolina. WHIC, Rochester, New York. WRAD in Radford, Virginia. WQOP in Jacksonville. All new logs from this week. WWBG in Greensboro, North Carolina starts us off on 1470. WLOA Farrell, Pennsylvania. WBCR Alcoa, Tennessee. WTOE in Spruce Pines, North Carolina. WQXL in Columbia. WP, South Carolina, that is. WPIF, Georgetown, South Carolina. WJLE in Smithville, Tennessee. And on 1480, snagged WJFC, Jefferson City, Tennessee. WYRN in Louisburg, North Carolina. WJFG in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. And WGFY in Charlotte. So 16 new logs for our friend Dennis. Gets him a bunch of logs and some Horn of Victory! No small feat. No small feat. 16 logs, man. That's pretty rocking. Well done, Dennis. Mexico Mike J in the house tonight. What did Mexico Mike J accomplish? Well, I got 3 new loggings, all for the challenge. KZNT 1460 in Colorado, WXOK 1460 in Baton Rouge in Red Stick, Louisiana, and KLCL 1470 in Louisiana. So you know where we're going to start this party off here. That was the log. Okay. Lake Charles and Red Stick. That's like red beans and rice. Beignets and cafe au lait, which has been a while since I had some beignets. Been a while, at least about 6 months, right, Mom? Right after we got her moved in here, we went down and got some. We got a Cafe du Monde just down the street from me here in Mandeville. Mandeville, I don't know why I said it like that. Mandeville, just down the street from us, we got a Cafe du Monde, and so I like to go down there every once in a while. I'll try not to do it too often, otherwise my doctor gives me a really bad look when I go in for my checkups. He's like, you've been spending some time at Cafe du Monde, haven't you? Well, that and the barbecue place. David Harden, Warner Robins, Georgia, just got himself WQXL in Columbia, South Carolina. That's the first time he's heard a station on that frequency. So, man, we get you an extra special bunch of this right here. And I think I said I didn't mention it. Kudos, Mike, and kudos to David for your accomplishments here this week. Good job, my friends. Mesa Mike in Fluvanna County, Virginia. Not much time for DXing lately due to the necessity of living in the real world. I feel you on that one, man. But did take some time to eke out a couple of new logs. 1460 WTKT in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. 1460 WRKB in Kannapolis, North Carolina. WPIF in Georgetown, South Carolina. Up to 595 total. Will I ever get to 600? Yes, you will, my friend. And if you keep that up, you'll get there in no time. Congratulations. Button was getting a little sticky again. Good job, Mesa Mike, my friend. And when you get to that 600, we'll throw you a little party here on the live stream. All right. Sean, our friend Sean in Illinois, says terrible opportunities for me this week on the challenge frequencies due to local regional stations. Only one new one in the challenge range. That was the FDL 1170 in Wisconsin, 246 miles. We'll get to it. He did complete his first pass of his Eclipse logs, 47 station logs of note for daytime, including 14 new ones. Now, let me back up for a second. Again, I I did the expanded band. I haven't touched my Eclipse stuff since then. So I definitely needed to spend some time doing that. Remember that really awesome week that Sean had where he was like hearing all kinds of stuff? The DX giveth and the DX taketh, right? So a lean week, other than the Eclipse stuff, which was, technically earlier in the month. A little lean week this week with the challenge frequencies for him, but he made up for it with earlier in the season and with these Eclipse logs. This is what I'm telling you guys. This is what the power of SDR does. When the conditions are terrible or it's just not there right now for you, you can go back to those recordings you made back earlier when the conditions were better, and you can spend time DXing. So you still get that DX bug itch kind of taken care of, but you're not having to kind of be beholden to the ionosphere always. Problem is when it's always cooking, what do you do? He did get these 14 new ones. 870 WKAR East Lansing, Michigan. 10 kilowatt, 267 miles. 900 WKDA, Lebanon, Tennessee. 5 kilowatts, 290 miles. 1030 WGSF in Memphis, Tennessee. 50 kilowatt, 351 miles. 1120 WTWZ in Clinton, Mississippi. 1 kilowatt, 547 miles. We got 1170 KTSB, The Buzz, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And that's 50 kilowatt, 491 miles. It'll be ILY, Centralia, Illinois, and 1210, 10 kilowatts, 113 miles. 1250 WKBL, Covington, Tennessee, 800 watts, 320 miles. 1270 KFLC, Benbrook, Texas, 50 kilowatt, 709 miles. 1360 WNAH, Nashville, 1 kilowatt, 282 miles. 1440 KTUV, Pine Bluff, Arkansas, 5 kilowatts, 431 miles. 1440 KETX in Livingston, Texas, 5 kilowatts, 745 miles. 1550 KRZD in Springfield, Missouri, 5 kilowatts, 337 miles. 1550 KWBC in College Station, Texas, 1500 watts. I'm guessing that's not right. Well, maybe it is 1500 watts, 802 miles. I don't know why my brain had a little lapse there. That was 802 miles, his furthest Eclipse log ID'd so far. 1570 KBCV in Hollister, Missouri, 5 kilowatts, 359 miles. That's just the initial pass, the easy stuff. There's tons of other stations that are going to require some additional filtering and tweaking to weed out, and that's where I got bogged down. I was on 1600, and I was getting bogged down with trying to get everything kind of squeezed out, and I was like, I don't have time for this right now. I'll get to it later on, but we do have a couple things for our friend Sean here with his 14 new logs. We got, 15, including the one from this week. We got this, and we got some of this. And anybody got a knife? Because I got to do some cutting. I feel like that one's like the polar opposite of ours, right? Like ours is like all kinds, we got the river, we got the food, all kinds of like the jambalaya and the gumbo and stuff. We got the bridges, and there's no snow to be found anywhere. And then you get to Wisconsin, and it's like cheese and beer and snow, and cheese and beer and snow. It's like the polar opposite. Well, actually, no, I guess the beer wouldn't be too opposite because that's very prevalent here as well. Oh, whatever. Anyway, all right. So congratulations, Sean, on your 15 new logs, my friend. And we hope to continue to see more stuff coming from you here as we go along. These lean weeks will give way to the amazing ones. I know they will. If you have a shout out to get in, go ahead and get yours in. We are clean at this point. No more shout outs in the hopper, as it were. I did want to go ahead and put this one out there, though. Let's go ahead and send out the end of season form. I'm going to go ahead and put this out on the chat. I'll also be putting over we'll also put that in the Slack channel. We'll pin that in the Slack channel as well for those of you who are there. By the way, speaking of that, I'll get to that section. I'll come back to that one. I'll come back to the Slack channel. That form right there, though, that I just put the link into the chat is our end of the season form. So what we're looking for there is basically from September 1st till now. And when we say end of season, I don't mean DX season. We're going to talk about that next week. talking about end of DX Central Live season, right? So get your accomplishments that you've done since September, right? Get those accomplishments in and get your shout outs in. Did you get a new goal this year? Did you hit a big milestone? Did you get a new country, new states, whatever, that kind of stuff, right? We want to know all the cool stuff that you did this year. So this is the form that I just put in the chat, is the all-encompassing shout out. So we've probably gotten to it at some point in the process, but we want to remember all the cool stuff that we did this AMDX season so far. So definitely get those end of the season shout outs in, and we'll get you some recognition, and we'll celebrate an amazing season. I have to say, and I was looking at the numbers the other day on this one, this might be, other than my first season here in Mandeville, where I had 300 and something stations logged that first season, because you're starting like ground one, like WWL counts now, WNOE counts, right? Like all the local stuff counts, and KDKA, I'm relogging them for the first time at a new location, and there's WGN, I got to get them in the logbook, right? That kind of stuff. You get through those first 300 pretty easy. So that first month was 300 and something. It was pretty easy. But other than that, I'll have to say this DX season has probably been the best DX season I have ever had, bar none. I've logged a bunch of new Canadian provinces. I logged some new states, including some that I didn't think I would ever get. Logged some new countries, including some stuff I didn't think I'd ever get. One of those Canadian provinces, it was something I didn't think I'd ever get. So like the quality of the DX that's been there this year has been off the charts for me personally. And I think a lot of you guys have had some pretty remarkable breakthroughs this year as well. East Coast folks getting out west kind of thing, everybody getting down to South America to an extent. Saw a lot of new South American countries for folks this year. So we'll be looking forward to seeing and having a chance to celebrate those together. So get your shout outs in for the season ending shout out form that I put in the chat. It's going to be really, really cool for us to look back on this season and celebrate together what an amazing season it's really, really been. Because it's been one for me for the record books. This is the single biggest log count that I've had in a season. I think it's well over 200, close to 250 this season. And I was really like, I hope I can get to 150 this year. And I'm already at like almost 250 and still climbing. So maybe I might even hit 1,000 before we get the season done. I don't know. We'll see. I'm at 920 something now. So yeah, this has been an amazing, amazing season. It's been so great. DXing it with you guys and doing it between the Slack channel and here on DX Central Live. This has been a special season for me. It's my first season without Pop, kind of bouncing ideas off of him and kind of pushing each other a bit. So been leaning on you guys for that, getting ideas from some of you for different things and pushing each other on the DX. So it's been really, I think, very, very special for me able to continue to do that in spite of what we kind of went through this summer. And you guys have been amazing to kind of rally around and be supportive of the DX hobby and kind of get me energized on it. And then the results have kind of been really amazing in their own right? Like getting to see Argentina this year. I don't want to give away all the stuff. We'll talk about next week, but just get those shout outs in. We're gonna celebrate next week. Bring your refreshment of choice. Bring your party favors of choice, whatever it might be. We're gonna party next week. We'll do some DX. We're gonna party next week and celebrate a really awesome DX season and get ready for a really great DX summer that will be on our way here for the rest of May, June, July, and August. All right, so let's talk a little bit of FMDX as we wrap up this segment here, and then we're gonna jump into more AMDX because I haven't had a chance to do it this week, and I just want to spend some time doing some FMDX. So let's recap what we've talked about so far. We talked a bit about updating. That reminds me, actually, that's what I was going to talk about. I just remembered earlier I had something I want to talk about, and I forgot what it was. Now I remember. If you have not yet seen it, if you haven't, it means you're probably not a subscriber to the channel, and shame, you gotta subscribe. Oh man, hit the subscription and hit the bell icon. You'll be notified when we put stuff out there, like for instance, our new video that went out this week on updating your RDS code data within SDR Console. I mean, that's a pretty big one for FM season, right? So that is going to basically help you. For those folks who use SDR Console with your SDR for FMDX, it helps give you that little check mark because what it basically does is you're taking RDS code data from FM list and you're downloading it, and then you're uploading that into SDR console. So when you receive an RDS decode off of a signal you're receiving, it's going to look at that database and compare what it's receiving to what you've loaded in, and if it finds a match, gives you a check mark, so that you know that what that little decode that you just got is probably very likely that it's real and it's accurate. So we put that video up on was it the 23rd? What day was that? Is that Tuesday? I can't remember what. It's been a week. So we put that on Tuesday, and I'm going to go ahead and pop that link here. Go watch this. I highly recommend that you do this if you haven't done it already. It walks through all the steps. It's super easy on how to get this updated in SDR console, so you have those updated RDS codes. So just go ahead and do that. Make sure you've updated if you're using AirSpy's HF Plus Discovery, make sure you've got the updated firmware. We've got a video on the channel for how to do that. Make sure you're running the most updated version of SDR Sharp, which just came out in the new version yesterday. We've got a video that talks about how to do that on the channel. We're about to put up a video here this next week for two things. One, we're going to be talking about RDS auto logging and what we talked about tonight, but I'll be giving you some more on-screen stuff that we'll talk about in that video. I'm also working on a video for using medium wave list and FM list, but more predominantly medium wave list, for getting your distances from your location to stations you're receiving. That's going to be helpful, by the way. You're going to want to know that. I can't give away too much just yet, but you're going to want to know that. Okay, so when that video drops, you're going to want to make sure you check it out. So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, okay, so that you'll get that video when it does drop. Hopefully this coming week be when it drops. Definitely, actually, this coming weekend, be this next weekend when it drops. So let's recap what we talked about FM. So we talked about SDR Sharp and the RDS Autologger. We talked about SDR Console last week, and we talked a bit about setting up those recordings, right, in SDR Sharp. And I think we also have the video. We have the video on YouTube for the console, SDR Console, setting up recordings and reviewing those in SDR Console. That's already there. There's also some other resources on our channel here for FMDXers that I want to make sure you guys are taking advantage of. We talk a bit about how to use the BF spectrum within SDR Console to actually see the signal that you're receiving, the slice of the actual signal you're receiving, including does it have an RDS signal even in there. You can actually very clearly see that on the BF spectrum, BFM spectrum within SDR Console. So there's a video talking about that. There's a video that talks about reviewing your SDR recordings within SDR Console. So when you are doing like e-skip recordings or tropo recordings, you can kind of know how to kind of quickly go through and review all those. We have a video up on the channel that talks about how to spot an e-skip opening on the FM band, including how to set up for those alerts, those e-alerts, so that if an e-skip opening is prevalent over your location or possibly open for your location, you'll get a notification about that by email. We talk about that in one of our videos. We also talk about some other little tips and tricks for using FM list as well on another video on the channel. So we've got a bunch of FMDX videos. So if you're not yet a subscriber to our YouTube channel, DX Central, make sure that you go up and do that now. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, it's super easy. There's a button down here that'll help you do that. And we're going to be adding a lot more videos this year. I was going to do it last year, but with everything that happened, I kind of got sidetracked. But this year, I'm really making a push and initiative to put more content on there besides just the live streams. We have been kind of leaning heavy on the live streams, but you guys have been so supportive and so responsive to those videos that we put out. I want to continue to do that. So we're going to put out more and more content on, diving into things like how do I update my firmware on the HF Plus Discovery? How do I set up my auto logger for my RDS and SDR Sharp? How do I do like all those how-to DX101 videos we've been doing? We're going to be doing more of those as we go on. We're going to continue to put those out. So there's a bunch of them up there already. Just go to the YouTube channel here and search FMDX, and you'll find there's a bunch. There's a bunch. We also have our link tree, which I'm going to put into the let me grab that now. Actually, where is my link tree link? FMDX. There it is. I'm going to put this into the chat as well. This is our link tree. I've talked about this one. This has a bunch of links in there on whenever I find cool stuff for FMDX, I update the link tree. So there's links in there for SDR software. There's links in there for SDR manufacturers. There's links in there for radios. There's links in there for antennas. There's links in there for propagation forecasts, for real-time propagation maps. There's all kinds of stuff. There's a bunch of our videos are on there. Like, if you are into FMDX at all and you're getting ready for the upcoming season, you're going to want to bookmark that link that I just put into the chat, because it's got a ton of stuff in there for you that will be helpful for you. I use it constantly during the FMDX season, so I hope that you will too, for your own DX efforts on the upcoming FM season. We talked last week a little bit about SDR Sharp and recording an SDR Sharp and reviewing an SDR Sharp. We're actually going to do a special video on that as well for the YouTube channel, so that is still coming. And we've got a whole bunch more. We really do. We got a bunch more videos coming for the channel here, so I hope you guys are strapped in and ready. As far as my plan for FMDX live streaming for the summer, I want to talk about this really quick before we dive into some DX. I had kind of steered away from FMDX live streaming because of copyright issues, because YouTube will just nail you on that. I've done some testing on this, and I'm planning on using my autologger and streaming the autologger in the scan, those 4-second pauses. When there's an opening, I'm planning on doing that so that you can actually hear what's coming in during the opening. Now, I may or may not be on camera or on mic during those events, maybe, because I'll probably be doing DX or maybe doing other things, a day job or whatever. But at the bare minimum, I'm going to plan on trying to, if I can, going in, throwing that autologger scanner up onto a live stream here on the channel during an opening, Tropo or FM, E-Skip opening rather, and do that so that you guys can actually see what's going on from here in Mandeville. So you'll have the map, our autologger map, but there will be times where there are stations that don't have RDS, or we're not decoding the RDS or whatever, that maybe the audio will be there. So that will be something that we do. And I've found in testing, 4 seconds seems to fly under the radar enough so that the YouTube folks don't come clamping down on you. I need to do a little bit more testing on that just to make sure. I don't want to put the channel at risk, and I might even just set up a separate channel like DX Central 2 and do the live stream off of that or something. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. But regardless, I'm planning on trying that out this year, trying out some FM DX live streaming using the autologger with audio from that, so that you guys can see what we have going on here, and we can get together hopefully and chat about what the conditions are doing and so forth. So keep that in mind as well. All right. Hey, there's Stephanie floating out in the Pacific Ocean on her extended vacay. Was down under, and is now over on the way to Hawaii. Has been doing some DX using an XH data there on the ship, and has been hearing some cool stuff, including, was it Sacramento on 1530 that you heard, like full armchair copy from the middle of the Pacific Ocean just north of Tahiti. I want to go. Oh, I really want to go. Oh. This hour of Live DX still brought to you by the folks at the International Radio Club of America, ircaonline.org. Go there now. Get your membership. It's super cheap. It's a lifetime membership. You go there, you set yourself up with a membership, one-time fee, and then you're done. And all you have to do is every year say, yep, keep it going. Keep sending me stuff. And that's what they do. Let's go back now. We are on our new frequency range of the week. It's 7 frequencies, 730 through 790. Now, if you look on the form, which is live, by the way, if you look on the form, you'll see spots for 729 and 792. Those are legit. So if you do hear anything on either of those two, you can put those on there. That's fine. I know I said 730 to 790, but I squeezed those other two on there as well. Anything in that range, though, is good. We're going to start here on 790 and work our way back down again and see what we got. Let's start with what's probably going to be Radio Reloj.
Esta obra que permite introducir equipos necesarios para mejorar servicios. Esta lógica posibilitará instalar nuevas capacidades en parques solares fotovoltaicos para incrementar la generación con fuentes renovables y que este municipio alcance un 20% de producción de esta energía. Reportó el Bastante Radio Reloj, 9:41 minutos. llaman a potenciar centros científicos de Maya.
So there is the radio reloj with the ID, the Morse code ID. You hear this talking in Spanish, the noticias.
Al intercambiar con directivos obreros en los centros de producción en de las radiaciones e isótopos de Maya Baker. La dirigente conoció de aciertos y desaciertos en los procesos investigativos y de la vida social en áreas cercanas a ambas instituciones, con la premisa de favorecer el desarrollo económico y a la población. El suministro de agua potable, las condiciones territoriales y la recogida de desechos sólidos suscitaron interés en el afán de aportar a las políticas de generación de la ciencia y a una obra creada por el líder revolucionario Fidel Castro. La viceprimera ministra de la República de Cuba, Inés María Chadma, convocó también a trabajar con unidad ante las adversidades y conquistas de la victoria, reportó el vicir. 9:42 minutos. Tarde cálida y aislada lluvia. Meteorología pronostica que este sábado estará para...
All right, let's take a look now at 780. It's a little noisy. It is still relatively early into the evening. Surprisingly, I have nothing from Latin America on this frequency. This is one I'm going to be spending a lot of time on this week. I haven't gotten anything from Mexico. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Mexican stations here. I haven't gotten British Virgin Islands yet. There's a Panamanian here. I'm looking on my map right now on the Perseus. We got BVI. Here's the Mexicans. We've got the Panamanian. I do have, I forgot. Radio Viva! Do you hear that little jingle? Either sung or instrumental. Da-na-na-na. That's Radio Viva. Radio Viva Pasto. I haven't heard Radio Coro in years. In Venezuela, so I don't even know if they're still on. We're going to come back to these guys. We had RCN Colombia here on 770 earlier. Rebellion in Cuba is also a common one here. And there's 3 Mexican stations that I've heard here on 770. This frequency is packed in Latin America. There's Rebellion, there's Artemisa in Cuba. There's a W Radio. There's a Formula, Monterey. A lot here. .760 is pretty much XEABC. There is a Progresso Ala here that we do hear from Cuba, though. Take care, Master Player. Oh, BCN? Heard him in Charleston. Haven't heard him here yet. There's 760. Let's go check out 750. See if KKNO is off yet. Nope. Somebody tells KKNO it's past their bedtime. 740.
Presidenta, candidata de la coalición, sigamos haciendo historia. Morena. Este 2 de junio saldremos a votar para que toda la ciudadanía participe. El INE implementa protocolos de inclusión porque todas y todos somos iguales. Por eso las personas funcionarias están capacitadas para reconocerte como una persona comprometida con
We know one of those is XEKV.
Participa y junto al INE deja tu huella en estas elecciones.
W Radio. I guess they're W Radio, Mexico.
Si tienes amistades o familiares en el extranjero que recibieron un aviso de improceso para hacer el examen nominal, diles que no se preocupen, tienen hasta el 5 de mayo para realizar cualquier aclaración. El INE atenderá todos los casos. Podrá llamar a INETEL desde Estados Unidos al 1866-986-8306 y desde otros países al 5255-5481-9897 o enviar un correo a voto.extranjero@ine.mx.
Here on 730 earlier we had Progresso. So this music station here is Progresso. I'm guessing this station on top is probably XEX. So that's XEX. W Deportes. We are on 730 to 790, Stephanie. Our last week of challenge frequencies. 730 to 790. 7 frequencies. This will be a challenge, for sure.
Desde que llegó el otro huracán, un huracán persistente que se llama el huracán hermano, del crimen organizado en unos secundarios que ni el gobierno ha querido tocar y pueden abajarlo, el piso de los metros, la violencia,
Hey, Carl.
Lamentablemente, creo que es muy importante que en la próxima legislatura exista verdaderamente una independientemente del partido que gane, independientemente de quién gane la elección, creo que debe haber un contrapeso. Y en la experiencia la hemos visto y cuarta opción de legislador del Estado.
I'm hearing 3 different Spanish stations in there right now.
Mi partido de gobierno, con 21 la
on 740. Is that Puerto Rico?
Después de la elección del 2 de junio, pensando que a lo mejor no tengan la mayoría absoluta para el próximo Congreso. ¿Hay posibilidad de algún periodo extraordinario de aquí a que termine la legislatura en el mes de septiembre, o ya ve que difícilmente se van a reunir en el tema?
I thought I heard of Ase Noticias, and then I thought I heard it mentioned in Puerto Rico. Okay, then never mind. If their live stream's got music, then no. I'll say this is the first time in a while on this South Wire that I have not heard a single hint of Houston.
Muy amables, han sido muy amables durante estas dos legislaturas para platicar con la audiencia informativa de Teo, siempre que hemos estado siendo muy amables en respondernos. Agradecemos mucho que explica todo este proceso legislativo, quedan algunos meses y seguramente pensaremos buscando temas. Gracias, regresamos con la información.
I said that, and I think now they're coming in. With the baseball there. That sounds like them. Or W. AKV.
embargo, tiene el de oportunidad de platicar con un especialista en materia de seguridad, propusimos al doctor Rubén Ortega Montes, que forma parte además del Observatorio de Seguridad Pública, Justicia y Derechos Humanos de la Universidad de Guadalajara, y usted nos señala respecto a la falta de estrategia y bueno, pues a esta situación que se ha permitido por parte de las autoridades que el crimen organizado vaya ganando el terreno. Escuchamos a Rubén Ortega Montes.
Estrategia por carencias probablemente la logística sanciones por medio de las acciones de inteligencia de
Got one of those, Carl, the old Grove mini tuner. Packed upstairs. Our old Radio Shack at the house was where they used to build those things.
El aborto voluntario, el Código Penal del Estado de Jalisco ordena al Congreso local otorgar el derecho de aborto autoprocesado y consentido. Una vez que el legislativo acate esta determinación, Jalisco se va a convertir en la entidad 13ª a nivel nacional y despenalizado. Quiero decirte que tuvimos la oportunidad de platicar con la persona
XECAQ.
local en el Congreso del Estado de
Quintana Roo. Just ID.
Vamos a escuchar parte de lo que dijo esta tarde Hortensia Noroña, de Guadalajara, en torno a esta situación precisamente.
A lo largo de los años ha sufrido varias modificaciones. La acción perdió el 100% de su ruido, pero logró levantarse de nuevo y actualmente es el segundo más grande de Inglaterra.
I mean, Martin's over 80 years old. It's gonna happen eventually.
Las vacaciones son un alimento saludable porque contienen minerales como calcio, hierro, potasio y fósforo, además de vitamina A, B, C y K. Asimismo, ayudan a la intestinal, a fortalecer el sistema inmune y a combatir la anemia.
Y visita el filo de las 10 de la noche pueda ver a Guillermo Ortega Ruiz en su noticiero de El Financiero Televisión, en Ortega Las 10, y pase un muy buen fin de semana.
That's gotta be Formula. Let's hit 770 so we don't get that copyright strike.
Busca el sello de aceite de palma 100% colombiano en las etiquetas de aceite de cocina y descubre por qué Colombia es el mejor fruto de la palma. Colombia es el mejor fruto de la palma. Es sinónimo de progreso, calidad y medio ambiente y lleva el sello de aceite de palma 100% colombiano.
Bill asks if 750 WSB is off the air. Well, let's see if my KKNO is off the air yet. Nope, can't tell you. Wouldn't be able to tell you if they were or not. We got RCN Radio in Colombia here on 770. 780 still noise right now, which I don't really see that a whole lot here. We don't get a lot of noise on this antenna in general, but especially on 780. I'd like to be able to grab BVI this week. Of course, 790 still. Cuba's still in there. But not as loud as they were earlier. I'm hoping Radio Minuto in Venezuela can make an appearance this week if they're still on there. I don't even know if they're still doing anything. There's Radio Relay. How do you hear KKOB, Keegan? I have never heard a peep out of them. With antennas pointed right at them, I've never heard a peep out of them, ever, on 770. I'm baffled by that one. I'm absolutely baffled, because when I lived here back in the 90s, KKOB was a nightly visitor, but now, nothing. $760 back again. I'm guessing that is Progreso. And it is. There's that 640 parallel helping us out. And I'm going to assume that the station on top right here is XEABC, where the male talking is Mexico. They pretty much do, yeah. When I've looked at the nighttime antenna pattern, I'll pull it up here real quick. They don't throw much this way at all, which is why I was surprised if Arkansas would see any of that. But let me look at the plot. There's that 7 set. There's the KKOB plot. There should be some of that heading back my way. It's the big kidney bean. I mean, most of that is west, but their null is to the northeast to protect New York. So there should be some of that bottom right lobe that should make it over this way at some point, I would think. And I would think, Keegan, I would think you're more in the null where you are. That's an interesting one. Take care, David. I'll pull that off screen and get back to our Kiwi here. 750. K107.1. I think that's WSB underneath KKNO there. Because usually WSB is pretty loud here, but our local in Gretna is staying on a little later past their bedtime than they should. And let's go back down here. So we got quite a bit of stuff from Mexico in this frequency range, and Cuba, and a Colombian. Yeah, I mean, when I lived here back in the 90s in the West Bank of New Orleans, down in Gretna, actually, KKOB was a regular nightly visitor. Them in 1580, KCWW, back when they used to be those calls, in Tempe, Arizona, they were a nightly visitor. Now, not a thing out of 1580 in Arizona. Not even a peep out of them. So I don't know, man. All right, let's do a real quick one here. Turn that off because the alert is over, and let's turn this back over here to blue. When we do the remodel, I'm not gonna have to worry about this anymore. I have a button on my Stream Deck that I can push, and all the lights will change colors. I've got a big old pile of stuff in there waiting to come in here and put acoustic foam up, so there will be no more echo in here. Oh, can't wait. It's gonna be stylish. So season 5 is gonna be off the chain. All right, let's do real quick. I'll double check and see. We have had no more shout outs come in, so I've got 2 this week. But they're pretty cool. 1020, I managed to hear Chetamal Quintana Roo XEWO on the 19th at 11 o'clock. Got to hear them. Seems to be back on there. They weren't listed on in Jaguar, and I think they were shown as inactive on medium wave list, but they were definitely on that night. I think Mexico Mike J, you were hearing them that same night that I was hearing them. But the big one this week that I'm super excited about is Radio Cristal HCLY2 on 870 out of Ecuador. So I managed on this eWeCast we've been using tonight, hit the channel null plugin and was able to null WWL just enough to be able to hear some content from Ecuador coming through, match it up to their live stream. That is now station number 4 for me on 870. I need one more log on that frequency. So I've got WWL, my local 50 kilowatt blowtorch. I've got the station in Dallas that does Spanish. I've got Radio Reloj with the wobbles. And now I've got Ecuador. Those 4 on 870. I got one more. I need one more station on 870. And the big reason for that is that will help me reach my goal, which was to get outside of the expanded band. Everything basically from 540 to 1600. I wanted to have 5 stations logged on every frequency. That one log on 870 is all that stands between me and accomplishing that goal. So it puts me at 926 stations. 926 stations. Go after KAAN in Missouri. That'd be nice. Yeah. I just need one more. I was hoping maybe Argentina might, pop up sometime this summer. Just loud enough for me to be able to sneak them in there with that channel null. Maybe, we'll see. So we shall keep on that one. And like I said, 926, so I'm getting closer and closer and closer to that big 1K. I've never logged 1,000 stations in one location before. I keep moving before I can do it. So not now though. That ain't happening now. I'm getting to 1,000 come hell or high water, and I'm getting my 8-band worked all states on ham radio done come hell or high water, and a couple others that I've been trying and have to keep restarting every time I move. That's going to do it for tonight's edition of DX Central Live. My friends, you have your frequencies 730 to 790. You have 1 week to finish those up, and then the season of the Mean Wave Frequency Challenge is over. We'll see you next Friday right here on DX Central Live. We'll be wrapping up the season. Don't forget to get your season-ending shout-outs using that form. I'll be putting that out on social media here in a bit. So make sure you get those in. Make sure you get ready to party next week. And we do have a big announcement next week on our season finale of Season 4 of DX Central Live. Take care, my friends. 73 Best of DX, and we'll see you again one more time next week.
This is DX Central Live. This is DX Central Live.